Welcome back after your lunch break. We continue with mainly meditation on the clarity of the mind, which is what we were doing this morning. And hopefully during the break, some of the time you could experience the clarity and awareness rather than the appearances, to some extent. That's quite interesting to live like that for a while. It's quite possible. It doesn't stop you doing things, actually. You might think, oh, then I couldn't do anything, because I can only do something if it's out there. Actually, you can still function, but your main focus is here. It's possible. So, when we think about a newborn baby coming into the world, just that phrase, coming into the world, it sounds like the world is here and the baby arrives in the world. What that suggests is that before arriving, the baby didn't really exist, maybe a bit of a bump on the mother. But actually, I think most pregnant women know the baby has a subjectivity already in the womb. Which means the baby is already in the world. Its world. The baby is in its world. It arrives in the world that we all call the world. In other words, our world. The world of the humans who are born already. But from the point of view of the mind, this isn't a very helpful way of thinking about it. Much more helpful is that the mind experiences a series of different environments, as if they're real, each one. So yesterday I said sometimes it's useful to imagine how an insect, for example, experiences things. What are the appearances for an insect? So equally, how does a baby in the womb experience things? We can imagine. Where is the center of the universe for that baby? Inside, at the heart of the baby. Just as for a small creature crawling around, the center of the universe is somewhere there, in the center of the being. So, from this perspective, the whole universe is like a collection of different movies, each one for a different individual who is in their own cinema of experience. It's a total cinema, not just visual. All the senses are involved, and also all the reflection on the meaning of the movie is involved for each individual. This doesn't mean mind only, necessarily, although that is a very fine and sort of useful school of philosophy within Buddhism. But what it does mean subjectivity is the source of our experience. How much of our time are we or our culture telling us that it's the objects outside which are the source of our experience? How much? So much. So much. Starts with our parents. I mean, they're only doing it out of love. It's not like this isn't a criticism. It's just the way that everything is conceived or understood within our culture. I mean, our collective human culture is that reality is external. It's objective. Reality is in the objects of the mind. You know, science is very well developed, considering how long it's been around. But there's not much knowledge about consciousness yet. There's a little bit, but really very little. It's very, very rough compared to the knowledge about atoms or DNA. Much better. Because science takes all these things objectively and measures them, all these external things. But when it comes to consciousness, they can't do that. And they find it hard to ascribe truth to something which is subjective. They find it hard to recognize the subjectivity even of their own work as scientists. All the experiments they do, what do they choose to explore and study? And the way that they conceive the world as objective is influencing the results that they get. Think of biology when they study some special species of frog or something like that. Are they interested in how the frog experiences the world? No. The frog is an object. That is all. The mind of the frog isn't of any interest at all, as far as I never heard about that anyway. If there are some scientists who are interested in it, I apologize, but I don't usually hear about that. They might decide what the size of the brain of a frog is and make some calculations from that. But the subjectivity of the frog is not part of their paradigm. It's not the way that they look at the world. It's difficult, but it can make you want to cry, actually, because the more you recognize this point, the more you can see how much trouble it causes. Objectifying others, living beings. The culture that's evolved during the scientific age, not very compassionate. at some of the traditional cultures and how they relate to nature, even those that kill animals, it's usually with some kind of sense of understanding that life is being taken and how precious it is to that being. And nowadays, they're just part of a big factory. It's all part of the culture that was produced by the wonderful science that we have. I'm not saying science is all bad, it's incredible. But there's this missing dimension, isn't it? About subjectivity. That's really what it comes back to. It keeps coming back to that. But without subjectivity, everything is distorted. Your understanding of reality, if you attempt to make a purely objective understanding of reality, it can't be true. Because the one making that understanding is a subject. Can't deny it. They're part of the process. They're part of the process. But they attempt to put themselves outside by using all kinds of means like machines or mathematics, different kinds of impersonal or depersonalizing processes. So what we're doing here in coming to understand the nature of our mind has got much bigger implications than just our own self-improvement. It's actually something very important for our society and culture globally. To restore the subjectivity, which also includes restoring the spirituality and sacredness to ordinary life. Just through acknowledging the subjectivity which is at the center of everything. At the center. Every single being's life is centered on their own subjectivity. Our whole life was always coming from here. And so often, things in our culture made us feel there, outside, somehow separate, cut off, cold, I'm sorry to say. It's very disheartening, very sad. But the good thing is that the mind is indestructible. Every new baby that's born starts again, don't they? They start again. It's fresh, it's new, because the mind that comes into the life through the moment of conception, through the experience in the womb, it's a new hope for the future. And historically, human culture is always evolving, and not necessarily everything's going in a good direction, but there's always this chance of renewal, just like the plants dying in winter and coming again in the spring. It's part of nature. What happens in our daily life if we start to live from our subjectivity? Of course, if our mind is very afflicted by uncontrollable emotions, it can be quite dangerous. So we need to pacify those afflictions, those negative emotions, destructive emotions. And gradually build our confidence to be what we are. We are a subjectivity wearing a body, in a sense. The body is like the clothes. It's something to carry us through our life, using eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch. That's the main benefit of the body, and enabling us to communicate with others and to participate in constructing a society, a family, whatever, a community, a workplace. We need the body for all those things. But what is really operating there is the mind. So the Buddhist practice is very helpful. If you do some practice in the morning, before you get into your business of the day, and bring yourself back to your mind. Whatever practice you do is going to have that effect. Whatever meditation you do is going to anchor you into the mind, brings you in the mind, and then from there, allow the day to unfold, but stay centered in the mind. Stay there. And be aware that whatever you experience as you go through your day is constructed by your mind. You might say, oh, those people arrived there making that noise. That wasn't me that caused that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm the one who heard them. I constructed the story, oh, there's some people there. They didn't do that. If you apply that to your whole world, it takes on a different form. You get so upset by this and that in the political sphere, in the technology sphere, things go wrong, we get so upset. It's just our mind being upset. These things happen. Or we get overjoyed because of this or that or the other. It's just our mind constructing that this is joyous, this is sad, this is happy, this is terrible. It's true, we participate with others. It's a human society. We're not isolated. We are affected by others, and we affect others. That's true. We're not sort of shut in our own prison or something like that. But if you maintain this center being your own subjectivity, you take responsibility, you feel confident, you have the power to interpret what you experience in your own way. It can be a challenge. These days, it's a challenge. The world is not an easy place to be, but how we relate to it is up to us. We're not just a total victim. Okay, so that's dropping something else in, and now we're going to move back into meditation, which is what we're really here for.